Chapter 13. The moment I step through the sliding glass doors of the Hyperion Bank, I get a nice flashback. The banks of the Empire fall into two categories: Empire banks and local banks. The Empire forces all planets to use the same monetary system based on fractions of mana crystals. These fractions are called credits. Despite there being multi-planet banks, these are not a megacorp and have strong restrictions placed on them. Star Knights and banks have a fairly adversarial relation, and despite the power money brings, it won't stop a moon from dropping on your headquarters. Shaking off Stone Drake's flashback rant, I steel myself for the coming mission. The air is charged. It was as if the building itself recognized an element that didn't belong, me. The pristine marble floors, the hover tellers flitting about with their holographic interfaces, the soft hum of transactions being encrypted at light speed. Everything screamed high society and bureaucratic red tape. And there I was, Ice Wolf, striding in with purpose etched into every fiber of my new blue and silver armor. A gift from my lady love back in her mining facility. Stay frosty, I muttered to myself, a smirk dancing on my lips despite the seriousness of my mission. I approached the main desk, where a banker with a face as tight as his suit greets me with a look that could curdle synth milk. Good morning. I flashed a grin that wasn't returned. I'm here to make a withdrawal. 1 mana crystal, please. Top shelf stuff. The banker's eyes narrowed behind his data specs. Mr. Wolf, he began, his voice a monotone that could put a hyperdrive to sleep, your reputation precedes you. And unfortunately, so do the government's directives. He tapped the surface of his desk, projecting a hologram of some official-looking document stamped with the words, confiscation order. Outlaw status doesn't really pair well with our clientele, he continued, as if explaining why my attire clashed with the bank's decor. And I'm afraid the mana crystal you seek is no longer available for purchase, and what's more, you no longer have the funds to make a purchase. Ah, come on, don't let a few rumors and a tiny little outlaw label get in the way of good business, I cajoled, leaning on the polished counter, feeling the chill of the stone against my gauntlets. That crystal and I? We're made for each other. Also, confiscation can only come after a trial presided over by an eye judge. I say, spouting a tidbit of galactic law I remembered. Government orders are not rumors, Mr. Wolf. They are law, and we are bound by them. He turned away dismissively, signaling the end of the conversation. You do know I'm a Star Knight, right? And refusing service to a knight in need is a serious offense in its own right, according to galactic law. I say darkly with menace in my voice. I'm sorry, Mr. Wolf, but you are no longer a Star Knight. That privilege was revoked by Bookworm when he activated your inhibitor chip and turned off your powers. The stuffed suit had the gall to tell me. Revoked my Star Knight statuses, turned off my powers. Man, I know we Star Knights like to hide stuff and spread misinformation, but this took the cake and ate it too. Bound by them, huh? I echoed, rolling the words around in my mouth like sour candy. His refusal was a setback, sure, but I knew one thing. I wasn't leaving without that crystal. Thank you for your time, you Zort, munching goat roper, I said with a courteous nod, stepping back from the counter. My piercing blue eyes scanned the opulent bank lobby, noting every exit, every security camera. The bankers had played their hand, and now it was my turn. Plan B, then, I muttered, a feral grin spreading across my face. With the grace of a prowling wolf, I backed away from the counter, my awakened eyes flickering as it scanned for the most advantageous point of attack. Thankfully, Jade had the plans for a hypno instructor, so I had downloaded the plans for the bank into my mind. Sir, please exit the building, an automated voice requested, politely, but with an edge that said non-compliance wasn't an option. Sorry, no can do, I replied, more to myself than the tinny voice. My fingers twitched, itching for the familiar grip of my rift cutter. A moment later, it was singing in my hand, its eerie light casting purple shadows on the marbled floors from the tear in space it caused. Security breach, the automated voice droned, predictably flat. Initiate lockdown. Showtime, I said under my breath, ready for the dance. The bank's security forces emerged like clockwork toys, a mass of drones and turrets backed by a few men in power suits, their movements precise, their intent deadly. With a roar of power I jumped. I was a blur, a storm of motion as I met the first wave of guards and drones head on. Come on, boys, let's not make this too easy, I taunted, ducking a plasma blast that scorched the air where my head had been moments before. While my shield deflected a wide-angle laser spray from the drones. My rift cutter hummed, vibrating with otherworldly power as I wove between the guards and drones, each strike a kill. Arcane energy crackled along the rift created by my blade, each swing cleaved through armor and circuitry alike, disrupting the delicate balance between man and machine that these guards relied upon. Bet your fancy AI didn't see this coming, I chuckled, even as I jumped behind a guard's clumsy attempt to blast me, spinning to drive the rift cutter deep into his mech suit's power core. Sparks flew, and he crumpled, his systems fried. The sterile air was filled with the scent of ozone and burnt wiring. Combat was a symphony, and I was the conductor, orchestrating a masterpiece of chaos. My heartbeat thrummed in my ears, keeping time with the staccato rhythm of gunfire and plasma blasts and the clash of metal. Is this all you got? Your money certainly didn't buy quality? I called out. The Chaos Legion loonies gave me a much harder run for my money. I laugh as I carve up drones. Who's next? I called out, almost giddy with the rush. It wasn't just about the mana crystal anymore, it was about proving a point. No one denies Ice Wolf and gets away with it. A barrage of shots rang out, and I danced between them, my movements a blur of silver and shadow. Each step was calculated, each dodge a defiance of physics as my awakened reflexes and unpredictable rift jumps turned potential hits into near misses. Nice try, I taunted, slicing through another mech suit's joints, rendering it as useless as a paperweight. I didn't need to look to know they were falling back, recalibrating, trying to figure out how to handle the whirlwind tearing through their ranks. Is that all you got? I scoffed, even as my eyes blazed with the thrill of the fight. This was what I lived for, the adrenaline, the danger, the undeniable truth that when push came to shove, Ice Wolf pushed hardest. Vault Ward I charged, my boots thudding against the polished floor, leaving a trail of havoc in my wake. The once pristine bank now boasted a new aesthetic, chaotic destruction, courtesy of yours truly. Each obstacle was an insult, a challenge to be met with the full force of my awakened enhancements and the edge of my rift cutter. Come on, show me something fun. I goaded as another security drone whizzed toward me, its lasers primed. With a flick of my wrist, a force blast fired from the crystal on my glove, turning the drone into a sizzling heap of scrap. Too easy, these drones didn't even have shields. Leaping over the wreckage, I barely dodged a hail of projectiles from a hidden turret. My laugh echoed through the hall, a sound born of battle lust and sheer exhilaration. Nice try, but you'll have to do better than that. The vault loomed ahead, a monolith of steel and advanced security tech, guarded by the elite, humans and combat androids armed to the teeth. My heart raced, not with fear but with anticipation. Time was slipping away, each second a drumbeat urging me forward. All right, boys and girls, let's dance, I muttered, charging headlong into the fray. They came at me, a coordinated swarm of aggression and flashing weaponry. But they were predictable, their movements governed by programming and protocol. Mine were dictated by instinct and experience. I pivoted, ducked, and weaved, my body an extension of my will, my blade a purple bar of destruction. One by one, they fell, their equipment no match for the fusion of magic and machine that was my essence. Is this your vault or just a welcoming committee? I taunted, relishing the sweat on my brow and the burn in my muscles. My smile never wavered, it was the banner of my confidence, unfurled and unassailable. With a powerful leap, I landed before the vault door, its surface crackled with a powerful shield. The guards lay behind me, defeated, their efforts worth less than the bytes they were processed on. Showtime, I breathed, my gaze fixed on the vault, feeling the thrum of the mana crystal calling to me from within. It was nearly mine, and nothing, not time nor technology, would stand in my way. With strokes of my rift cutter I hacked my way into the vault, the shield popping like a soap bubble. I only needed a clear line of sight to the inside. The vault's interior was a treasure trove of the future, gleaming with technological marvels and antiquated riches side by side, all behind diamond crystal glass. But my eyes were locked onto one prize alone, the mana crystal. It pulsed with an aura of raw power that made the air around it thrum with energy, like a heartbeat of the cosmos itself. I could feel the crystal's call, a siren song for those who dared to wield such force. Gazing at its power, I reflected on the gruesome source of this mana crystal. There was only one hypno command, the Star Knights left in our hypno programming, from the old bad days when we served the Empire of the Stars, and that is an inability to tell the source of mana crystals. You see, mana crystals come from mana trees, strange crystalline trees native to the icy death world of Balor's Eye. It is one of the very few alien life forms of any kind we have found. It is native to the planet the Star Knights claim as their home world, or at least that is where they were discovered. New mana trees only grow from the dead bodies of fallen Star Knights. A star knight when they die is pulled to the mother trees by the last gasp of our powers. The mother trees are 3 massive crystal mana trees that are part of the source of our power. The other knights will then bury the dead knight and plant the seed of a mana tree in the corpse. As of yet, the only way to make a mana tree seed grow is from the dead body of a star knight. "Hello, beautiful," I whispered, inching closer. It sat enthroned in a high-tech containment box that seemed to feed it, nurture it with a network of glowing conduits. The crystal's luminescence ebbed and flowed with a rhythm that felt alive. It was as if the very essence of the universe, or maybe some other universe, was crystallized before me, throbbing with potential. It was so much more than the small mana crystal fragments that were embedded in the crystal matrices of my force weapons and drives. "Time to come with Papa," I murmured, gloved hands hovering above the intricate locking mechanism of the box. A flicker of hesitation shivered through me. This wasn't just a heist, this was the key to our mission, to construct the new jump beacon. The weight of what I was about to do settled on my shoulders like a mantle of stars. "Easy does it, Ice," I chided myself, then engaged the lock by inserting a high-tech wire from my infiltrator glove. Jade really could make anything. I began the delicate process of unlocking the box. The box responded to my hacking attempt, interfaces whirring as I navigated its defenses with hypno-instructed ease, coaxing the machine to yield its treasure. "Come on, don't be shy," I coaxed, half expecting the damn thing to sprout legs and scuttle away. But the box was designed to protect, not to play hard to get. With a satisfying click, the lid popped open, and the room bathed in a brighter glow. There it was, the mana crystal in all its glory. My heart raced, adrenaline mingling with awe as I carefully lifted the crystal, still cradled in its arcane feeder. "Gotcha," I said, a grin splitting my face. It felt lighter than I expected, as if the power within defied the laws of physics. I secured the crystal inside a protective travel case, feeling its warmth against my chest, a silent promise of triumphs to come. My mission was clear, and with the energy of another dimension now at my disposal, I was ready to face whatever awaited beyond the vault. But before I left, I saw a second crystal, and well, why not, I said. I was going to just buy the one mana crystal, but well, they needed to pay for the insult that was their security. It only took me about 10 minutes in the bank vault to finish up my business. The mana crystals encased in their protective cases, each the size of a closed fist, strapped to my back safely behind my shield. I was ready to leave. So I jumped to the entrance of the bank. The air crackled with the smell of ozone and heated metal as I faced the final blockade. The royal guards, draped in their dark blue and gold insignias, were an impressive sight. Their wings hovered ominously, engines whirring like angry hornets denied their nest. "Last chance to walk away," I called out, not expecting any takers but enjoying the ritual of the offer. They responded with the hum of charged weapons powering up, a symphony of impending violence that set my blood alight. Normally I would just jump back to my blade or a resonate crystal, but I needed to be sure Bookworm was distracted, and that meant I had to keep causing chaos. Suit yourselves. While it might seem mad for a man armed only with a melee weapon and a light force blaster to threaten a 45 feet tall mecha, the odds were in my favor. Shields, while capable of stopping almost any conventional attack, had one weakness, one that most people couldn't use. Rift cutters were not a conventional attack, they were instead a baleful teleport, and shields, while they could stop things from teleporting inside, could not stop the power drain caused by an unstable warp rift being shoved inside the shield bubble. Admittedly, I had to turn the rift cutter on unsafe mode, which caused air to start rushing through the rift, but it would now slice through shields as easily as anything else. In a crack of thunder, I riffed and jumped forward. Their first salvo of energy bolts sizzled through where I was standing. My rift cutter humming, a rippling curtain of purple light that laughed at their primitive laser tech and weak shields. Each swing was a brushstroke painting chaos, severing limbs from mechs and carving arcs of destruction through the air. They were good, but good wasn't going to cut it. Not against me, not today. I spun a pirouette of death, extending the handle of my rift cutter so I could take bigger bites from my enemies, and delivered a blow that cleaved a wing's cockpit in two. The pilot ejected, his shocked expression etched into my memory for all of half a second before I moved on. "Who's next?" I taunted, even as I jumped away from another burst of fire. Even though I was starting to feel the strain of so many jumps, combined with the beating the security guards had put on my shield, my nose was bleeding, but only red, not purple yet. Sparks flew, illuminating the grim determination etched on my face. They didn't know they'd already lost. There's something beautiful about the dance of combat, the rhythm, the flow, the sheer exhilaration of being on the razor's edge. I existed there, in that narrow space between triumph and oblivion, thriving where others faltered. A final royal guard, the captain by his fancier trimmings, flew in the chaos around the bank. This last guard, his mecha suit bristling with weaponry that would have made a lesser opponent weep. I only grinned wider. "Come on then," I said, beckoning him with an arrogant flick of my wrist. "Give me your best shot." He roared and charged, foregoing his ranged weapons in favor of some kind of power axe, a juggernaut powered by fury and loyalty. But fury made you predictable, and loyalty made you dead. I jumped to his cockpit and brought my rift cutter down hard. It sliced through armor and circuitry like a hot knife through butter, and then there was silence. I panted, more from the rush than exertion, gazing at the destruction around me. 6 wings, the mechanical counterparts to star blades, lay broken around me, a single man with powers. Gasping for breath, I wiped my nose, seeing the red blood coat my glove. I know I'm reaching my limit as a warning flashback appears in my mind's eye. The symptoms of power overuse for awakened humans start with headache and muscle fatigue. Next stage is bleeding from the nose and blurry vision. Also, the mana veins will start glowing under the awakened human skin. The next stage is bleeding from the mouth, eyes, and hallucinations. Also, the blood coming out will turn a glowing purple from the blue power fluid known as flux mixing with the red of blood. Tired as I was, I still had a mission to complete.